Hi, I'm Lori Ramsier with Ramsier Group, and this is my friend Christy with First American Title. Thank you, Christy, for joining us. We just wanted to tell everybody a little bit about what the title process looks like and why that's so important to your real estate experience. So, Christy, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us how you got into the business?
Sure. Hi, I am Christy Johns. I am business development with First American Title. I started with First American in 2018. So I kind of work with everyone. I work with the customers, I work with our escrow and our title. And there's just a lot of components of my job. So we'll just cover a few things of that today.
That sounds great. So, let's just start off with why is title insurance important?
Title insurance is hugely important because when we receive an order, we immediately begin to do what's called a title search to do the background check on the property. And what we're looking for is any kind of defects, liens, anybody that possibly has an interest in the property that you are not aware of. So that title insurance, what that does is if there is something that pops up after the closing, we insure you that we are going to stand by that buyer to ensure that we did that search. And like I said, if anything would come up that we did not find that was recorded, we're going to stand by that.
That's awesome. So, really important and something that nobody really thinks about, but when it happens, it's vital that you have that insurance protection.
Absolutely.
So, you mentioned a couple of words earlier. Escrow, what does that mean?
So escrow, so we actually have two teams. We have our escrow team and we have our title team. So our title team is who is actually doing the physical searches of the property. Our escrow team is who actually is working on the documents, who is working with the lender. If there's a lender involved, they're kind of our numbers people. And like I said, getting the documents ready for closing. If you've ever purchased a home or sold, you know there's a lot of documents involved.
Lots of signatures.
Lots of signatures. So they're the ones that are going to be involved in getting all of that prepped and ready to go for closing.
Great. Okay. So a title search, what does that mean and how do you do that?
So title search, that's where we actually have people who sometimes physically will go to the courthouse and search the record books. It can also be done a lot online. Here at First American, we actually have what's called a title plant in our office. We have the big, huge books that date way back to even Jesse James times.
Wow.
Very,
That's cool.
Very interesting because not many title companies have that anymore. So they can look in there, but that's what they're doing. They're going back and looking to see what has been recorded along the way throughout the years of the property being recorded at the courthouse as being a property.
Awesome. That's got to be very interesting.
It really is, yes. Like I said, I've never actually done a search, but the people that are doing the searches, they definitely come up on some interesting stuff sometimes.
I bet. So when we have a new listing, we will then give that to Christy and her team, and they are going to do a search on that, make sure that the title is all good for the new buyer. And then once we get under contract, we'll send that contract to them so they know all the details of the contract. And then they're going to put everything together, and then we come here and lots of signatures later.
Lots of signatures.
Yeah. Then you own a new property or you've sold your old property.
Yes.
So what else would you like for us to know about the title business?
So obviously, if you're selling or purchasing, this is a huge component of that process. And like I said, the main thing is we are very detailed, and our goal is to make sure there is nothing missed in between the seller selling and the buyer purchasing. Like I said, again, that there's nothing that would cause a delay in closing that we refer to. Like I said, back taxes that are owed, anyone who has an interest in the property that the seller or the agent may not know about. We hope to find that kind of stuff. We always say it's hugely important to us to know if a seller or buyer sometimes also is married, because Missouri is a marital rights state. So
what does that mean exactly?
So that means that in Missouri, you can purchase a property buy yourself, even if you're married. But if you're going to sell that property, your spouse needs to sign off on that also. So if you're still legally married to someone, we need to know that. That's something. And like I said, hopefully we would find that in the search, but sometimes it does not show up in the search depending on when the property was purchased. So again, that's something that we always say we need to know that. It's little things like that, little details that, like I said, we would like to get taken care of before we get to the closing table, so that the closing table can just be a huge, exciting day for everyone, which is what it's meant to be.
Right. So they're checking for mechanical liens, things like that, that you may not even remember that you had.
Yes.
So
when we do that title search that we were talking about earlier, we're going to issue, the first thing we're going to do is issue a commitment. And that is something that as a customer, you and your agent are going to go over that together to make sure that everything looks correct, that the property address looks correct, names are spelled correctly, that any information in there is stuff that you're aware of, that there's not anything surprising to you. Because like I said, if there is stuff that you're not aware of, our goal is to get that taken care of before the closing table.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Christy. We appreciate the time.
Yeah.
And hopefully you know a little bit more about what a title company does and why it's so important that you involve them in the selling or purchasing of a home.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you for asking me to be part of this
Absolutely.
today. And we would love to help you anytime, like I said, with any of your selling or buying needs.